Hi everybody, it's Kim and welcome to another video by the Entropy system. So this video is going to be very informal. It's not scripted. It's just, I thought it was a good time for us to give you an update on us. It's been years since we posted videos, and so a lot has changed internally in the system, a lot has changed externally in our lives, and I thought it was about time for us to just kind of sit down and chat with you guys and let you know what's new. So when we stopped making videos a few years ago, a couple things had happened internally that were pretty big. Lido had fused into me, and we also had a couple alters resurface that we hadn't been aware of before. One of those was Little Bronwyn. One of our very last videos that we posted was Little Bronwyn's introduction video. And in that video, she's very scared and shy, and she talks about at the end how she's going to go have a glass of water, and she's going to make that choice to have a glass of water on her own. Little Bronwyn has grown so much over the past few years. We've gotten to know her a lot better, and she's made so many strides in really asserting her own value and her own needs and wants and desires. One of the first things she did actually was change her name. So rather than just be Little Bronwyn, like the little version of our host Wynn, she named herself Honey, because she wanted to be someone who was very sweet, and she chose a name to help her kind of manifest that. And I'm sorry, is that not the cutest thing just ever? Like, it's so precious. I love it. She is still very shy, very soft-spoken. She doesn't really interact or have any desire to interact with anyone outside of the system and Andrew, who, if you are new to our channel, Andrew is our host Wynn's husband. Not an alter, he is an external other person. So I wouldn't expect to see her in any more videos, because obviously we will never force anyone in our system to be in a video if they're not comfortable doing that. That would be messed up. But I did want you guys to know that she is doing much better, that she is happy and she is more assertive and is at least practiced in asking not only for her needs but her wants too. Almost at the exact same time, we had an alter surface named Abigail, and she was kind of a self-proclaimed guider. We had a forest kind of on the edge of our inner world. So we had our inner world where we all lived in this big, like, kind of perpetually nighttime downtown cityscape. And all the way on the edge of this city downtown was a little pathway that led to kind of this forest that none of us could access except for Abigail and the parts that already lived in that forest. All the parts in that forest were fragments, not complex alters like myself, like Wynn, like Daniel, like Honey, but just parts of the mind that held on to like one emotion or one moment in time, and really that's all that encompassed them. And Abigail designated herself as the guide to help Honey out of that forest and kind of come hang out with the rest of us system, and also to help all of those fragments fuse as a part of their healing kind of into the system as a whole. She did that and she was happy with her job well done, and then she fused as well, and that's kind of all we knew about Abigail. And then after she did that, we met Anyone, but her name, Anyone, as in I will be anyone, just tell me, was a name that obviously was birthed from the trauma that created her. And as soon as she introduced herself to Andrew, he goes, nope, nope, we're not sticking with that name. The name was obviously so tied to a specific trauma and a need to please and change yourself based on someone else's whims, that needed to be the first thing to change. And he recognized that and goes, how about Annie? It was close enough, but it was more human, and it wasn't an offer, a reliving of trauma every time it was said. And she loved it. She immediately adopted it. So now we have Annie in our system, and she is around regularly. Her and Honey are very close, probably because they resurfaced within a couple months of one another. But she's spunky, and I like her. A lot of her personality traits kind of remind me of, like, Kit a little bit. A less life-experienced version of Kit. Which leads me to our next update, which is way sadder Then the other ones. Kit, during the 2020 time, started having a very difficult time fronting. Like, she would have to like really, really concentrate to be able to front. And then within an hour or two, the brain would just be like, nah, man, nope. And she would kind of get unwillingly pulled back and just forced to switch with somebody else. Like, she would have to go back to the headspace. She just could not hold on to the front no matter what. And the more lockdown went on, the more apparently our subconscious decided, oh, you don't need a social protector, because it became very apparent that Kit was going to fuse. We didn't want Kit to fuse. Kit didn't want Kit to fuse. And up until this point, we thought that fusion had to be a willful thing, that it was a choice, that it wasn't something that just occurred. But we learned that that is not always how it happens. She spoke at the digital conference that we were invited to speak at, and that was one of the last days that she existed as herself. Within a few days after that conference, we all felt it happening. I don't have the words and the adjectives to describe what it feels like to be like, oh, a fusion's about to happen. We all knew. It was very obvious to everybody. And so she wrote like a very loving goodbye letter to Andrew, and we had like one last little system meeting where she told us how much she loved us. And we even asked like our gatekeeper, we were like, you can control everything, can't you control this? And there was just nothing that could be done. And it happened. And at first we thought she fused into one of our littles, Karen. And Karen didn't change. And that broke Wynn's heart. Wynn definitely took this fusion harder than the rest of us. Like, it was hard for all of us. It was really hard for me. Kit was like my big sister. She was the one who I trusted most in the system. But Kit was like a pillar for Wynn. Kit was one of the first alters that Wynn got to know. It hit Wynn very hard. And it hit Wynn harder when Karen didn't really change, didn't really manifest Kit-like properties. The only thing that really changed with Karen is that she could read. She couldn't read well before that, but now she can read just fine. She can read on the same level as the rest of us. We kind of, as time passed, realized that a lot of Kit's personality traits got fused into Wynn. Like, Wynn got a lot of Kit's personality. She got a lot more sarcastic, a lot more kind of in your face and alt style-y, as you can probably tell. The hair was her idea, and we all love it. Like, we all love it, but it's definitely something that Kit would do also. Although, let's be real, Kit would have gone with purple. We still miss Kit a lot. Like, you know, alters don't die. Fusion isn't death. Fusion is just your parts of the brain go into other parts of the brain, and kind of, you know, red and yellow make orange, and now we have orange. But she doesn't exist the way she did, and we miss the way she existed a lot. And it also brought up a lot of fears of who else is going to spontaneously fuse. So that's the saddest thing, I think, by far, as far as like DID system stuff is concerned. She had a pair of wings that she bought on Etsy, like handmade fairy wings that looked like the wings she had in the headspace, and she only wore them a few times, and we still have them because nobody in the system has the heart to get rid of them. So we have them, and we'll probably always have them to just kind of remember her and her wonderfulness. After that, Andrew took up travel nursing. So he was already a nurse, which in our eyes, he's a superhero. I'm sorry. I don't know if you guys know what goes into nursing, what goes into schooling to be a nurse, what goes into actually being a nurse on the day-to-day, but like, the hours, the things you have to know and do, the things that you witness on a daily basis and just like are okay after that. Like, Andrew's basically a superhero. Just throwing that out there. But there was a lot of need for travel nurses during the time of the lockdown. And so he was like, hey, what if we kind of dropped everything and just started traveling? And so we did. We thought that sounded like a great idea. We, every couple months, lived in a new state. He worked at a new hospital. We did some like online digital art commissions and stuff to, you know, because we can't not work. So we kept working. It was just all online. And we got to live a lot of places. We also took some of that time because every 3 months, neither us or Andrew were tied down to one specific place or timeline. So we traveled like a ton. We visited Iceland, we visited Greece, we visited Japan, we visited Ecuador. It was amazing. The people we met, the culture we got to experience, the history we learned and touched, the history we got to like stand on and look at and put our hands on. Like, traveling is the best thing on the planet, hands down, no question. I also had some significant change during our time away. I continued to struggle with the fact that I had lost 16 years of my life. Like, that's a big thing that's hard to get over. And it's also a big thing that's hard to find community on. Like, not a lot of people have just missed out on 16 years of their own life. And so like, that was difficult. And obviously we were all going through lockdown together, which was extremely difficult. And during that time, a family member I was very, very close with passed. Not because of the virus. It was completely unrelated. But she passed, and that was very hard. And I've always been sad and angry, but I was just even more sad and angry. And I was sitting there, I was like, I don't want to be sad and angry anymore. Can I stop? And Jacob, who is our gatekeeper, the one who kind of like shifts us around and controls who's in front, controls where we can go, goes, of course you're angry. That's why you were made. It wasn't safe for us to be angry. You're the angry one. You're the one who gets to behold the anger. I was like, cool, but like, I can't keep doing this. Like, we're not in trauma land anymore. Like, I need to be able to not just be angry all the time. And so Jonathan, who was, he was like one of the OG alters, like him and Win were like the first two, right? And he existed to just be happiness. Later on, he kind of adopted the job of memory holder, but he wasn't holding any memories because we had processed all those in therapy. And so our little ball of happiness, Jonathan, says, hey, you know what? I got you. I'll fuse with you. And, you know, that should help balance you out a little bit. And so we fused, and it did help a lot. It was really weird. It was like an adjustment period. It took time for us to like settle into the Kim you see before you right now. Because he almost never fronted. He was an inside alter. He did not come out unless absolutely necessary, or to make a video one time. At first, I was so amazed by everything I saw in the outside world. It was like, oh my god, birds! Oh, birds are the coolest thing ever! Like, I just felt like, I don't know, like a little kid. And eventually, the dust settled, and I'm definitely still Kim. I'm also definitely less angry. Like, I'm still kind of sarcastic, and I still am the one who holds anger the best, but I'm not just sad and angry all the time. It's not my all the time thing now. It's my when I need to be, which is way nicer. And we all kind of expected, because Jonathan and Jacob were husbands. Like, they were a unit. And we expected Jacob to be sad about this. Like, we even kind of projected on him, like, oh my god, he hasn't said anything, like, I bet he's hurting so bad. And he's like, first of all, I don't have emotions, second of all, stop projecting on me, I'm fine, this was good for the system. He was so irritated that we were expecting sadness from him. So if anybody's worried about Jacob, he's good. Our littles age, so we have two littles, Karen and Michelle, and they both decided that they wanted to start growing up. Every year we gave them a birthday, and we had like a little gifts and a little mini party for them. Michelle hit 10 and decided, oh, that's as big as I want to go. 2 digits, that's high. And so she stopped. And Karen turned 11. She'll be turning 12 this year. And she just keeps on going. I think I'm definitely glad that Michelle decided she wasn't ready to just like keep growing up, because having a part of us that is just a little kid and joyful and giggly and like sweet treats and animal documentaries is just really lovely. It's good for the whole system when she's out, because she's just joy and silly and happy. I don't know if any of us were ready to fully lose that innocence, you know what I mean? It feels good having her be a part of the system the way that she is. In the same way, though, Karen growing up also feels really, really great. Karen being young was Karen being afraid. The world felt too big. She felt too small. And so her growing up is her growing into strength, her growing into confidence. And so her growing up is also really amazing for the system. And all of these changes, honestly, have been really great for the system as a whole. And we know this because for the first time in our life, it appears we are functional enough to hold a full-time job. A job with livable pay and benefits. And it's wild. We didn't think that we would ever be able to have a job like that. Our disability, even as good as we were able to communicate and as good as we were able to, go to school and work through flashbacks and trauma and all the nastiness that goes with that, we just were not capable and didn't know if we would ever be capable of maintaining functionality every day consistently enough to have a full-time job. But guess what? We've got one of those now. Obviously that means we can't travel as much, which is fine because we're fully taking care of ourselves for the first time. That's so exciting. That's so exciting. I like to think that where we are right now, as far as our communication, is the best it's ever been. Our amnesia barriers, our memory loss is the lowest it's ever been. We have almost eliminated flashbacks and nightmares. They still exist, they're still there, but when they do show their face, they're manageable. And them showing up at all is rare now. It doesn't happen all that often. Our teamwork is sky high. We are all actively looking out for one another, making sure everybody's needs are met, making sure we all have time to be out and exist if we want to in the outside world, that we all have time to do our hobbies and be social, as much as we can, having a full-time job. It takes up a lot of time. I like to think that where we are now is proof that it does get better, that healing is possible, that, going out and functioning in a world that's not necessarily built for us is possible. And I hope that what we have achieved and the growth that we have gone through can inspire other people, inspire other systems who are maybe in the thick of it, are still in the throes of flashbacks and amnesia barriers and alters who don't want to be a part of the team, that if you work together and you focus on each other and on healing, it gets better. It doesn't just get better, it gets really good. When we first got diagnosed, it was so terrifying, and we were looking outward to any sign that there was hope for us, that we wouldn't just be miserable and scared and scaring others for forever, and it was hard to find that. But maybe now we can be that for somebody else. After this, most of our videos are going to focus on media analysis, because that's one of our favorite things ever to do. And there's a lot of DID media for us to break down. Like, it seems to be on the rise, and not always in bad ways. We're also thinking of starting doing like video game streams on Twitch every now and again, doing games that are either feature characters with DID or are DID adjacent enough that we can turn it into an educational opportunity. Or maybe that's just an excuse for us to play Cyberpunk with you all. Take it how you will. We also are revamping our Patreon. Our Patreon continued to go the entire time we were away from YouTube because our amazing patrons, our amazing community, specifically requested that we not give that up. So we, for our whole time away, just knocked our Patreon down to $1 for that bottom tier and would have a Zoom call every month with just some of the most amazing, inspiring, wonderful humans that you could possibly imagine. And 100% without question, they are the reason that we came back to YouTube. They gave us the confidence and inspired us enough to come back. It's if you're glad we're back, thank them. Because 100% we would never have had the confidence to come back if it wasn't for them. We are going to be revamping our Patreon though, so we can use our Patreon as a tool to like build our channel and get higher quality tools to film videos, edit, things like that. So feel free to check out our Patreon, which will be linked in the description of this video and all of our other videos as well. We look forward to the many videos ahead with all of you wonderful, amazing entropic fish. We're so happy we can be back. We're so happy to be a part of this community again. And, you know, as always, remember, you are loved, you are valuable, and you are valid. Bye!